How do you solve a problem like Liz Cheney? I guess I'm using the line from The Sound of Music. How do you solve a problem like Liz Cheney? Well, one way you solve a problem like Liz Cheney is you try to understand what is motivating Liz Cheney. And this is not actually obvious. I mean, think about it. Here's Liz Cheney, who was kind of a pretty solid Republican from a solidly Republican state, Wyoming. And now she has become a kind of systematic basher of Trump and the MAGA, the Make America Great Again movement. And she takes every opportunity she can to sort of turn the knife. She takes great delight in doing what she does. She appears now to be a pawn of Pelosi. And let's think about the vicious response of Pelosi and the Democrats to her own family, to her own father. They treated him like he was a monster, a warmonger. So why would Liz Cheney be acting in this way? Yes, part of it is a hatred of Trump, but the broader question is what's in it for her? What is she? She doesn't seem to have much of a political future in Wyoming. I think she is basically, not dead man, but dead woman walking, politically speaking, in her own district. Lots of people are gearing up to run. Trump has already made an endorsement. Liz Cheney may as well throw in the towel. So where is Liz Cheney headed? And it's a bigger question than Liz Cheney. You can ask the same question about, Mitt Romney, the same question about Murkowski. Where are they? What are they going for? Now, by the way, we should distinguish this question from what is, say, Susan Collins going for. Because what Susan Collins is doing is she's actually representing her constituents. She's representing a middle to somewhat blue state, Maine, and she is running to the middle and is articulating positions in the middle because that's where her constituents are. But that's not true of Romney, and that's not true of Liz Cheney. So what is the method, if there is one, to their madness? I want to argue that really what they're up to is a form of long-term careerism. Now, here's what I mean by this. If you are a conservative in the Congress and you sell out, there are huge rewards waiting for you. You have a smooth path after Congress. So I think with Liz Cheney, she's not thinking about how do I get reelected. She knows that's gone. And she, we'll sometimes say, well, she's angling for a position on MSNBC or CNN. But there are much better, much more lucrative, much more culturally, positions with far more cultural cachet than that. She could go on various corporate boards because suddenly she's now the voice of conscience. Suddenly she has become the person who can be counted on to be, as a Republican, I'm going to criticize Republicans. There's a market for that in liberal culture, including in woke corporations. Look at, for example, a guy like Paul Ryan, who serves on corporate boards, is in fact on the board at Fox News. Look what a lucrative career that guy's had after an extremely ineffective, virtually useless career in the House. Liz Cheney could go for university president. That's the kind of job that I can see her getting, not just in Wyoming, but somewhere around the country. Foundation president. There are foundations that have huge amounts of money, liberal foundations or even moderate foundations that go, well, you know what, Liz Cheney's kind of in the middle, but, she's a Republican, but she's not a Trumpster. And so there are lucrative positions in the foundation world waiting for her. There are lucrative book deals waiting for her. All kinds of publishers. Liz Cheney, talk about your journey, how you learned that the conservative values that you were raised in have now been usurped by a bunch of madmen, and how you're the sole voice of sanity speaking for moderate conservative values, which basically incline you today toward the Democratic Party. Liz Cheney, I wouldn't be surprised, will turning up at Davos in the kind of international circuit, getting all kinds of prizes and awards. If you want to see how it's profitable to turn against the right, just contrast a guy like Paul Ryan with a guy like Newt Gingrich. This is a very good comparison because both of them were Speaker of the House. So what's Newt Gingrich doing today? Well, not a whole lot. He's a commentator. He maintains a public presence. I spot him on Fox News every now and then. His wife is a U.S. ambassador to the Vatican, or was under Trump. But Gingrich, by and large, is essentially kind of on his own. But look, by contrast, at Paul Ryan. Now, Paul Ryan wasn't as close to as influential as Gingrich. He's not as well recognized as Gingrich. Gingrich has a much bigger public name. But Paul Ryan's post-congressional career opportunities are much greater than Gingrich's. He can serve on corporate boards. He could be up for university president. There are all kinds of ways in which Paul Ryan can rake it in that are not available to Gingrich. And why? Because Gingrich stuck true to his beliefs, and Paul Ryan, in a sense, made the right signals to the left that he was essentially available, as is Liz Cheney, to do their bidding.